We've been given the topic of poetry of the saints. It's a very vast topic, especially given that Carnatic music is so rich in lyrical content, in poetry, in spirituality. So we'll talk of certain aspects and restrict ourselves to composers who have left an indelible mark and without whose compositions today's Carnatic concert would be incomplete. So we will only delve into the works of very, very major composers so that we keep the scope of today's topic manageable.
Till the 12th century, there is no mention of two different classical music systems in India. I think it slowly, what happened would have been that because of the conquests and invasions, a lot of Persian influence came into the classical music and therefore, many parts of North India, it became Hindustani music, whereas the South Indian tradition is much more older, ancient, and because of the geographic position, it was not, by and large, it has remained the same.
Purpose of the music and the words is to elevate and not merely to entertain. I think this is a very, very primordial, fundamental aspect of our music, that it seeks to elevate and not merely to entertain. And therefore, the content is very devotional in nature. Even when we talk of, non-religious or non-devotional content like nature or about ethical values, the purpose is always to put the conversation or the context at a higher plane. It is never banal or it's never mundane. It never talks about petty things and trivialities of life. Even through seemingly simple symbols, the purpose is always to leverage ourselves to a higher context, to a higher consciousness.
Purpose, yes.
Poetry of the saints, the saint as in the composers who were on a spiritual quest. They were not merely people who were gifted in poetry or gifted in music. They were all of it, no doubt. But their life was lived, I think, in a higher plane of consciousness. They composed these songs. These songs are a kind of a record of their spiritual journey as they attempt to question and answer difficult questions of life, profounder truths, as they attempt to cross over the Maya, as we call it, and to move over to a higher plane of evolution. These songs contain the record of that journey. And so every song in that sense is a quest to answer the difficult questions. And if we as similar, people who journey on this quest took a deeper look at the songs, it will answer our questions. It will probably demystify many of the conflicts and the puzzles that we face on a daily basis.
We will actually focus also on the trinities of classical music, South Indian classical music. As we all know, Thyagaraja, Muthuswami, Dikshitar, and Syama Sastri. They are the musical trinities. They are roughly born around the same time, the 17th, 18th century.
Isn't it intriguing that how the Trinity, the renaissance of Indian classical music was happening around the same time it happened in the Western classical world?
Yeah, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, around the same timeline, actually.
About early 18th century. So we have the Trinity being born at the same time, like Ranjani said. And their compositions kind of rejuvenated Indian classical music. It was truly a high watermark. So much of the concerts today,
the way we perform is, I think, in a way, the direction is because of these Trinity's compositions.
Correct.
We can't think of a concert without featuring at least one composition from the Trinities.
Correct.
In a concert, Carnatic music concert today.
So we will first talk of Sadhguru Thyagaraja Swami, as we call it, Thyagaraja. Again, humongous output. Like I said, if there are, in the Margarine Academy, talking about one aspect of Thyagaraja, one small aspect will take 2 hours. So I'm trying to cover Thyagaraja, Trinity, Purandara Dasa, all in the scope of an hour's talk. So obviously we are only going to talk about certain aspects and hopefully also sing a little bit of sketches of these compositions to illustrate our points better. So Thyagaraja, he had erudition, scholarship, a deep knowledge of the Vedas, a huge musical, overwhelming gift. But I think what truly was at the heart of Tyagaraja's composition is his his bhakti towards his Ishtadevata Rama. So most of these songs are a direct conversation with Rama, with the divine. And they're extremely personal in nature. He talks to Rama sometimes as a god, sometimes as his friend, but the relationship is so intimate. And so the songs are like conversations that he has had with Rama. And when you talk about the output, Pancharatna Kritis, his opera Nauka Charitram on Krishna and Prahlada Bhakta Vijayam. So these are all some of the important works of Tyagaraja.
It is not just merely God there, exalted. It was like with him. He had such a very strong bond and personal bond with him.
Especially you cannot talk of Tyagaraja without mentioning the Pancharatna Kritis. Pancharatna, as the name suggests, 5 ratnas, 5 masterpieces, 5 gems. So each one having a different theme, a different concept. They have multiple charanas or multiple verses. Some of them have 10, some of them have 9, some of them have 8. So you have 5 kritis having different lengths, each having a different kind of a conversation. So what I thought we could illustrate is this last charana from the second Pancharatna, which is in Gaulai, Dudukugala. Dudukugala nanne tora koduku brotura sari zani zari zani zari mama sari ma rima sari sa 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 papa mari sari ma pari mari pa mari ma sari mari sa 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 pani pa ma pa mari ma pani sari ma pani pa mari sa 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 sari ri mari ma sari mari sari mari sari sa sari pa pa mari sa dudukugala nanne tora మానవతన దుర్లభ మనసు నుంచి పరమానందముందలేక మదమత్సర కామలోభమోహులకు దాసుడై మోసపోదిగాక మొదటి తులజుడకుచు భూయిని శూద్రులు పనులు సల్పుచుండినిగాక నరాధములను కోరి సారైన మదముల సాధింపతారు మారుదుడు కూల నన్నే దోరా. So look at this charana. మానవతను దుర్లభ మనసు నుంచి పరమానందముందలేక మదమత్సర కామ లోభ మోహ. He recounts all the human failings, and it's interesting that he recounts them putting himself in the position of a flawed human being. Even though on a personal level he was so elevated, he lived a life that was so virtuous, completely devoid of the materialistic trappings. But in order to such is his empathy with humankind that he puts himself into the position of that flawed human being and recounts all the failings that we are all prone to. Madamatsara kama lobha mohulaku dasudai mosapodigaka. That we fall prey to all these. So it is interesting that these saints recounted all the failings and put themselves into the position of that to show us the path that this was not. And then in Endaro Mahanubhavalu, he recounts the great people, uncounted great people who have done so much. So truly, I know that every musician, we always say, because we never know, we may be celebrated at this moment, at this point in time, I might be a big star, but you don't know how many great souls have made it possible for us to elevate ourselves. How many great souls' work has gone unrecognized. Just like Thomas Gray said, full many a flower blooms in the desert. That's such a famous quote. To blush unseen in the desert, something like that, I remember vaguely. So this song truly pays tribute to these great souls, to all the uncounted, infinite great souls on whose shoulders we stand, whose knowledge helps us to elevate ourselves and plunge further on.